morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of HR Voices. And today we are joined by Mr. Ashish Mishra, who comes with 2 decades of experience in HR functions, and his core is organizations with razor-sharp focus to integrate HR practices to business KPIs. To tell a bit more about him, he's associated with Nippon Paints for around 8 years as Director Human Resources and Supply Chain Management, responsible for India, Middle East, Indonesia, and supporting Thailand in his role. Welcome, Ashish.
Thank you so much, Talis. Glad to be a part of this initiative.
So, Ashish, just to tell you about HR Voices, that we have started it last year while COVID was on, and it has grown after that. Now it is a regular feature. We do it twice a week, where we are getting HR leaders on board and we talk about various aspects. So it is a pleasure to have you on board with us. So I was just browsing through the profile, and we came across that you are a person who is the Director for Human Resource at Nippon and also Supply Chain Management. So I'd like to understand that how, before we start with the question and answers, so how do the two roles which were not considered aligned earlier, you have taken it up and you are doing fairly well in that. So just a bit on that, then we'll jump into the questions.
Sure, Talis. And as you rightly said, it's a combination which is commonly not heard of. Frankly speaking, I have not seen, with approximately 2 decades of experience that I have. But that's where, the organization like Nippon Paint, management and the style comes into picture. We try to do double hatting in terms of the roles and combine wherever possibility is there. Now, supply chain and HR, while I'm performing this kind of a role, and of course, my bosses will talk about that, whether I'm doing good or not. Having said that, of course, a very, very challenging role with a combination of different mindset put together. But I believe that's where our organization comes into picture, and it talks about a combination where roles can be performed, where roles can be delivered. So that's where we are.
That's lovely. And this is a wonderful way of integrating human resources. We have been, I started a lot of conferences back in 2008. And the main thing that was the core to the discussion was that why HR is not at the highest pedestal, and people from HR are not moving to that thing. And one of my friends who was one of the speakers in those days, he said that at times we get into a role which is more HR-centric and personal, but the business acumen integration into HR wasn't happening then. But today we see a lot of leaders emerging and leading biggest of the organizations are from HR. So we'll not name them right now, but it is happening. And at Nippon, what you spoke about is a wonderful culture where the integration of HR is happening. So let's jump into the questions that we intend to ask you from PW Peopleson, that you have been associated with Nippon Paints for close to 8 years now. And how would you describe the culture of the organization?
See, if you talk about Nippon Paint, it's a market leader. Nippon has been into existence since 1881. The company ventured in India in 2006. And the BU that I represent, I'm a part of, it's an automotive refinish and a wood coating industry. Now, what you talked about the culture and about what organization we are, I can go, for hours and hours. But just to give you a bird's eye view, a perspective over here, Talis, our fundamentals are very clear. I'll put it that way. While we focus on systems, processes, guidelines, procedures, we are very clear that people are our biggest assets. We normally call us a Nippon nation, where when we talk about people are not only our team members, it's also about our ex-team members who have left us. They are still connected with us. It's also about our customers. It's also about our dealers. So the entire nation, that's what we call Nippon Nation. So people are our biggest assets. And while I can talk about that, proudly that we are great places to work certified, we still believe that we are not the perfect organization. No offense to anyone. I think no organization would say that they are the perfect. So the journey is still on. We celebrate our success. We relentlessly focus on making an E-Cube organization. When I say E-Cube, it talks about 3 pillars, which is enhanced, engaged, and empowered organization. We have our core values, that what we expect everyone to live and breathe. Those are called as vitals. Now, the acronym VITAL stands for vigilance, insatiable appetite, teamwork, agility, lean, and stamina. While we are focusing on our business KPIs, we focus on our members and our community that we are a part of. And proud to share that we have a trust, a welfare fund called as N Square Welfare Fund. This has been formed by the employees of the organization, by the team members, and they contribute voluntarily into this. And as a matter of fact, you were talking about your initiative in COVID days. What we did as a Nippon Nation, we helped, assisted more than 2,000 painters. Because when I talk about people, our painters are also a part of our people community that we are talking about. So that's the kind of holistic approach that we as an organization, we focus upon. Now, as a company, while we will focus upon, as I said, sales, growth, product mix, etc., we are also an organization who is very, very responsible to the community. We have tied up in a lot of initiatives with a foundation called as Nai Subha Foundation. And that's where we look at how do we assist people, especially enabled kids. The painting that you see, back, in the background is made by, kids who are autistic. So as an organization, we support these kind of initiatives as well. Very importantly, and which is very close to my heart, and while you're talking about culture, the culture means how people are felt comfortable, how they are being recognized, how they are being taken care of in all their needs, whether it is in terms of money, whether in terms of career, whether in terms of work-life balance, etc. We have more than 75 people who have rejoined us. While the organization, it's a true fact, people will come and go. The clear reflection in our culture is people love to join us back. They go, they work for different companies, but they feel like that Nippon is a company where they are more and more taken care of. So that's where we are. We have, I think, majority of people who are still connected with us. That's what I'm referring to Nippon Nation, and people rejoining us. So that's a very, very clear-cut indication of our culture. And as a matter of fact, we don't recruit just team members or employees. What we want is people who are having an entrepreneur mindset. They should join us. And even if they don't have it, in the due course of time, we make them entrepreneurs. So over here, horizontal and vertical leadership is a very, very important area that we focus upon. So that's where I would like to summarize on your first question, Talis.
And in this, you specifically mentioned about the vertical leadership as the focus area. So could you just give us a little more insight? And while we had a communication the other day, you spoke about that integration of various vertical heads into other verticals are being, introduced. And this is something different to the organizations in Indian culture. And people are very eccentric and focused to the works that have been allocated. And usually, I'll just add a little more thing that I always feel is that over a period of time, employees become too centered and they are focused on their work, that they are not aware that where the organization is heading and how things are working inside the organization. It's just the following of the process which is happening. But here, when I spoke to you, it was enlightening that you in person are handling HR as well as supply chain. So I'd like to understand a little more about that, how Nippon is doing it.
Sure. So vertical leadership is a focus area, as I mentioned, and that you rightly picked it up. So give you facts, we have people who've been with us, loyal with us, and where the company has nurtured them, taking up really great roles to talk about. Currently, the person who is handling Middle East is a person who has evolved his competence in Nippon, in India. And today he's overseas and heading Middle East operations. And when I say Middle East operations, it is not just the sales. And that's where the competence was injected. So it is sales, it is manufacturing, it is finance, it is commercial, everything all put together. So that's one of the example, one of the fact that I would like to share with you. The second, the marketing leader of India, who's been with us for close to 10 years now. Today, he is overseas again handling the operations, the entire company of Indonesia for automotive refinish. Well, you have highlighted my role. So that's again an example of vertical leadership, typically an HR person handling supply chain. Our digital is being handled by a lady who is been with us for close to 5 to 6 years now, but was handling the customer support and a business support role. Now that lady is looking after the digital transformation, the IT part of it. So that's where we blend the vertical leadership, we blend the competence, and while it is a good for career progression, it is also how the platform is being given by the organization to respective leaders in terms of integrating different roles. So that's where the vertical leadership of Nippon Paint comes into picture.
Another thing, just to add to this, that this ideology would have been developed over a period of time.
Yes.
And what are the reasons and what are the benefits that you have seen in the past ever since this integration has started happening?
See, it started way back, I believe 6 to 7 years back, when the focus was that every role should be business-centric role. You need to be close to business. Everything revolves around the business. So be close to business and understand what the business requirements are. So at times there are unsaid demands. Now, people who come with the kind of the expertise, no offense to anyone again over here, but when you come with the preset notions or preset expertise, you try to work in that fashion. What we believe as a company, experiment. We need to experiment. We need to be innovative, and that innovation comes when you are completely with a canvas where nothing is written. You come with a clean slate, and that's where you try to evolve your strategy, which can complement to business. And we have seen that it has complemented phenomenal, where people not from that background coming and delivering what the business really wants. So that has been a win-win situation for the competence, for team members, and for the company.
That's a wonderful understanding. And I think that should be a holistic approach when you are getting in people. I come from an organization when in my initial days, I started and we had to do everything. And we learned everything during this process. So starting from your HR, that is where it bit me. I was an IT operations guy. I learned from IT, I learned HR, then marketing, branding, and everything. It was so easy to operate, and we are not dependent on a lot of things which are not happening at the same time. And the multiplication of leaders also happen, because if some people are occupied, you don't have to wait for things to happen. There are others to take care of it. Plus, ownership in business becomes very important, as HR handling supply chain is something I feel really proud about. So we'll move to the next one. Thing that we have in mind is that what are the qualities that HR professionals should possess in order to be a future-ready leader that can impact the organization. Again, this is specific to HRs that I would like to understand. Obviously, integrating is one major part.
Right. So, well, there are, experts like, Dave Ulrich, the gurus, management gurus, HR gurus, who can more talk in detail about it. But from my side, if you ask me, I think HR folks, the HR fraternity, needs to be very, very close to the business. I mentioned in your the other question, right? I mentioned that. So again, I would like to re-emphasize and reiterate that HR should be very, very close to business. While we have acronyms like HR BPs or strategic HR business partner, but how do we really impact the business? What strategies will you come up with which will be a catalyst in terms of overall making a high performance culture? I'll give you how we try to do it, possibly in Nippon. In Nippon Paint, when we design the performance link incentives, so which is a variable component, and it's a monetary component, so very, very close to everyone in terms of their earnings, we try to define it and link it with the business KPIs. Now, whether it is in terms of sales, whether in terms of product mix, whether in terms of collections, we try to integrate that. And that can only happen, Talis, that can only happen once you're very, very close to business. You understand what your business wants. You understand what the objectives of the organization are. And then only you can define, or you can form an incentive policy. You can define an R&R, rewards and recognition program, in my opinion, only if you understand the business, right? Gone are those days that when the HR was looked at a very, very conventional model of HR. We need to be very, very progressive. So from my side, be close to business, drive initiatives which can fulfill the business objectives, business goals, be with them, understand what they want, and deliver that. So that would be my message from my limited experience that I have.
You have diverse experience, like apart from HR as well, when we're talking here. And how has your experience been, between shuffling the roles between supply chain and HR? This is something out of this I'm asking. And from the initial days, getting into it, now you, over a period of time, you get worse. But initially, what were the challenges, putting on two caps?
Yeah, good question, and I still keep on, thinking about it. So while HR, you are expected to, come with a mindset of that you need to be very, very employee-centric and empathize with people, understand what the needs are, not to be very aggressive, in your approach. While in supply chain, you need to be, very well aggressive. You need to be on your numbers. I'm not saying being in HR, you cannot be on your numbers, but in supply chain, the numbers are different. Thinking about the procurement, very, very proactive approach in HR and in supply chain. But supply chain, it impacts your entire business model. So thinking about it, how your procurement will happen, how your distribution will happen, and how the safety in your warehouses are going to be a very, very important pillar while you are thinking about supply chain. You need to be thinking about how your distribution model is going to happen. You need to be more cost conscious. So that's where the double hatting, I believe, has given me much, much expanded horizon. And that's where we are today.
Wonderful. That's That's a completely different mindset that you have to operate on both the aspects. That's wonderful. So we'll come to the next part of this discussion, which happens to be a more centric role to the HR space, and that is your learning and development. And we'll focus on learning and development from leadership's perspective, and at the same time, we would like to connect it to the succession planning. So, in your organization, majorly, I what I can see with the kind of integrations happening, you have a lot of leaders who are being created and to reach up the highest pedestal in the organization. So they are being moved to different functions, and there's a lot of learning happening. So when we are talking about leadership development, maybe from middle level management, so we'd like to understand that how L&D has been supportive and how the succession planning has been done.
Right. I think that's a very, very important area to focus, and a continuous focus needs to be there. So to be future ready, some of the initiatives that we have rolled out and is something called as ELP, Emerging Leaders Program. This is for the middle management, and to look at how we can give them a 360-degree overview about the organization, including all the functions. So in ELP, Emerging Leaders Program, this is what we rolled out in 2016, and subsequently we have evolved with other programs as the Quest program. So the Quest program now, which we finished batch 1 in the year 2022, had participants from multiple departments, multiple functions. So you will have in the same batch a person from an IT, from an HR, from a supply chain, from a manufacturing, from sales. Within sales, you will have a B2B, B2C kind of sales, and that's where the batch gets formed. And now that this L&D or these trainings are not only for 1 or 2 days, and not only the classroom trainings. The participants are expected to deliver a project which has a quantifiable measures. And if you don't deliver that project, you are not graduated from the training. So essentially, as I talked about, people that we expect to have a mindset of entrepreneur, that's what we make them in this training programs. So this training program is approximately from 3 to 6 months training program. They are given an incubation fund for the project from the company side, and they need to deliver a kind of a profitability or a cost avoidance project in this. Multiple competencies are being talked about. They are being trained upon. So we look at a finance for non-finance manager. We look at how do you really guesstimate. How do we really, work on when you have an ambiguous environment. So those kind of trainings is what we focus upon in this Quest program or Emerging Leaders program. Also, as a company, we encourage people to pursue their higher education. So how we assist them, we give them, the financial assistance for education and certification programs. So we promote people. We have people current in our company who are pursuing their courses from IIMA. And that's where we are assisting people. In all, I would like to say, we expect people to have an entrepreneurial mindset. I believe I've been repeating it, but that's what we believe. An entrepreneurial mindset.
So coming to the end, the last question that I have for you, Ashish, is what are your suggestions to the upcoming generations of HRs who are pursuing their career or maybe in their academic years right now? So how do they, it won't be the traditional HR anymore as they pass out in a couple of years or as they are working right now. So what are your key suggestions that you'd like to share with the audience, especially the students and the young HR professionals? How do they pursue their career and what should be their objectives in life and career?
So much has been talked about it, but to reiterate, I would say be close to business. Be very close to business. Understand how the business is operating. No more HR people should be in offices. We should be at field. We should understand how the sales team is going and selling. While we are not, HR people are not expected to go and sell the product, but understand what mechanism goes. We sitting in office cannot really look at the pain that the field force is going through. So be close to them, understand the business, sit in manufacturing setup, understand how the products are made. Then we will realize that what a worker is going through. What kind of assistance can we provide to our workers? We need to look at how R&D is operating. We need to look at how IT is operating. When we get that kind of holistic overview, then only an impactful policies, guidelines, procedures can be formed. So that would be my suggestion, a very high-level suggestion, that be close to business.
That's wonderful. I think this is the most important thing. Instead of simulation, we should get on floor and check the things, how they are sitting in the offices. It's very difficult to actually gauge the situations. They might be positive or negative in both ways. And we cannot sit there and be judgmental about what the situations are for the people on ground. Probably, and we can't even judge in case they are not reporting correctly. So if the situations are known and people are on floor, they'll understand it differently. And this is something that really sums up the topic that we chose today, integrating HR leadership into the business functions. And thanks, Ashish, for taking time today. And being a Sunday, we recorded it, but it'll be here a little later. But thanks a lot, and hope everyone who's hearing it would learn a lot and try to integrate their HRs into the business functions. Thank you.
Thank you, Thalis. I would like to give my thanks to you and to the Businessworld for giving this opportunity, this platform. And special thanks to you for accepting my request to record this on a Sunday. So,
always a pleasure. And we'll record many more, and we'll meet very soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.